Hey, you guys, let's talk about some conspiracy theories. And I'll start off with the one of my own conspiracy theory that comes to mind. I think haven't had a pull pop in forever. This is what I think, and I've mentioned it before. I think the Food and Drug Administration, I think they're in cahoots. I think our food, the ingredients in packaged processed food, is making us so sick, so ill. I think they're working together because I have a hunch that if you just eat a little bit of canned food and packaged food and pre-made food, all the stuff that has all the preservatives in it, I think you'll be okay. But here we are today eating a ton of it, and that's not okay. But I don't see the Food and Drug Administration putting like a warning or a cap and say, you can all, you can't, they're not informing us on how much is too much. And if you look at generations, for example, my grandparents, they just died. One day they woke up and they were dead, or in the hospital and then they were dead. No hip implants, no long chronic illness of pain. I think one grandma had high blood pressure. One grandpa smoked his whole life and he died at 80-something. My grandmother with high blood pressure died at 80-something. My one other grandpa, 80-something, had like a little mini stroke. And then my other grandma in her 80s just died in her sleep. So it was that kind of stuff going on. I remember that from in the 80s. So now here my parents in their 50s. I remember my mom in her 50s like warning us kids that, once you hit 50, boom, you start getting sick. I'm looking at my parents in their 80s, and they have all these terrible things: knee replacement, hip replacement, pain beyond belief with all different parts of the body, antidepressant pills that are supposed to help both your pain for your body, make you feel good in your mind, gluten, all this stuff. And I think it's the food ingredients, the hazardous food ingredients. And the fact that they're not coming out educating us better or warning us makes me think that's why I think that's a conspiracy, because the drug people are telling them not to say anything, because if they keep taking these foods, they'll get sick and we can sell them a pill and we make money. So I think they're paying them money to not say anything. So there's my 5-minute intro into conspiracy theories. So that's the one of mine. But let's move on to, you guys heard of Michael Medved? Well, when I'm in the car, if he's on, I love to listen to him, especially on Conspiracy Theory Day. I thought he had Conspiracy Theory Day once a week. I've heard so many of them. I thought it was once a week, but apparently it says every month when the moon is full, so he does it when it's a full moon. That makes it even more interesting. I'll post the link in the description box below. It says he opens the lines to impassioned callers who seek to expose deep secrets and hidden forces behind perplexing, painful present events. After 15 years of featuring these calls on his show, he's compiled a list of the most popular conspiracy theories advocated by national audience in order of popularity, and he lists 10. And my conspiracy theory about the food and drug people being in cahoots isn't even mentioned, but listen to this. The number one conspiracy theory is that a conspiracy killed John F. Kennedy and then successfully covered up the crime. I don't think so. That has never struck me as a conspiracy theory. Okay, next, number 2. Powerful, shadowy bankers and business leaders organized around the Council on Foreign Relations, the Bilderberg Group, the Trilateral Commission, Bohemian Grove, Skull and Bone Society, or all of them put together, plan to impose a new world order suspending national sovereignty and individual liberty. I think there's something going on with these groups. I don't know what it is exactly, but I think there's something going on. But it's fun to think about. That's kind of why I'm doing this video. You know, for those of us who have our own conspiracy theories, and for those of us who like food for thought, just by reading this list, there's things I wouldn't think of. But it gets me thinking, and I like that. But like this one's kind of spooky. I do believe this one's kind of spooky. I could think so hard on this one, I could scare myself. So I might have to stop. 9/11 was an inside job. No, I do not think that. But I do, to the extent that the government may have suspected something was going to happen and didn't do a ton of stuff to protect it from happening. That's the extent that I think we dropped the ball and let it happen. That was our fault, but no, I don't think it was an inside job. Next, number 4. The Masons and or the Illuminati have conspired to cause all of the world's problems and tragedies for over the last 300 years. I don't know if it's them, but you know what I think? Now that I'm reading this, just the little phrase has conspired to cause problems. You know what I think? This is terrible. This is on a daily basis, just about. I just mentioned it within the last week or two, that the news people, how I really do not like listening to the local news anymore. I definitely don't listen to like the world news. That's like that. I cut that out a long time ago. The local news, it doesn't matter what kind of weather it is, hot weather, cold weather, they make such a big deal out of the weather. I am convinced they are getting a kickback, or they're getting an attaboy by local merchants and local people when they blow up the news of the weather, whatever it is, hot, cold, because I don't see them anymore just talking about the weather and say, have a good day. We have a good week. If they say it, they'll say, but it won't last for long. Because here we have this storm over here brewing. And I know I didn't notice it right away. But my husband, who has to have the morning news and the evening news, bless his heart, as much as I try not to listen to it, you can figure out the pattern when you've been listening to it day after day after day for so many years. And it's extremely stressful. It's like you can't even enjoy a Southern California day anymore without them saying, just, be thankful that we live here. Say, oh, it's getting hotter. Make sure your air conditioners are working, have been checked. Because, in fact, I'm getting myself stressed out just talking about it. Anyways, so that's my conspiracy theory. Oh, number 5, the United States moon landings were faked or on a movie set in Nevada desert. I don't think so. However, I could see how the conspiracy adds up, because weren't we in a race against the Russians? I can see how possibly that could have provoked them to fake it. Was there a Sputnik or something that went into space or went into the orbit? Something that happened that the Russians did something before us. I think that really was upsetting then. They could have faked something for that. So I can see how they could think that. Okay, next. That was number 5. Number 6. A UFO crashed in Roswell, New Mexico, 1948, and the charred aliens' bodies are stored in the same Nevada site where they staged the moon landing. Somehow I think that's real. Not recently, but years ago. I think when YouTube first came out on the internet, I bludgeoned to death all the videos that talked about Roswell and these videos that showed the aliens. So I don't know. But again, you have to remember that I was a teenager in the 70s and then didn't turn 21 until, or turned 20 in 1979. But I grew up, just for the sake of discussion, look at this. So all through the 70s, when junior high and high school, here's the Enquirer. Now, back in the day, in fact, this is one I never did. Since I came back by my new little internet corner table, there was a pile of stuff here that I never videoed, and this was one of them. It's an Enquirer from June of 2017, and that's the approximate time I moved away from this area, have summer. So anyways, we have this to look forward to, this Inquirer. Back in the 70s and the 80s, before internet really, the stuff that came out in the Inquirer, and I used to hem and haw the stories that would come out, the gorilla baby, the alien baby, the child, but this baby was born, this lady had a 50-pound baby, all this stuff, nothing like what the Inquirer is today. So something has happened. Either all those stories were made up, because you don't see that kind of stuff in the Inquirer anymore. You just see gossip about the movie stars. You just see gossip. So needless to say, the Inquirer doesn't thrill me as much as it used to back in the day when it was black and white. So either they quit printing them because they were lies, and the attorneys and all these people really came hard against them with fake stories, or there's no interest for it, and so they've changed to movie stars gossiping. I don't think so. What I think people are even more so interested in those crazy stories that were in the Inquirer, but because they were lies, so they had to stop. That's what I think. Next, number 7. The Federal Reserve was a diabolical plan by international bankers to assure their control of everything. I don't think so. I really think it was meant to have a good control. But see, I'm so naive in how I think. I'm thinking it started off with good intentions, then all these bad people came on board and may have had that. But I just have a bad habit of always thinking that people have good intentions, and I realize that doesn't happen all the time. Okay, next. Fluoridation of the water supply is a secret means for poisoning Americans. There's something not right about fluoride in the water. Because did I read somewhere that in other countries it's banned? I only know that every time I go to brush my teeth, I worry about that. So I think there's something about the fluoride. But again, back to the Food and Drug Administration. What is fluoride? It's not good for us, I don't think. Okay, next. Number 9. The U.S. government developed the AIDS virus in a lab as a means of eliminating Africans and homosexuals. No, I have never thought that. I can see how people can think that. Honestly, I never thought that. And last but not least, number 10, the governments of the world have deliberately suppressed an evidence of extraterrestrial visitors in order to prevent public hysteria. I kind of think so. I'm like waffling. I'm hemming and hawing on the fence. I'm on the fence with this one. Because the videos you find online of these sightings, especially like the Roswell hidden secured files, so many things seem real. And then there's these people that have had these weird things happen. So I wonder about that. But then I also know there are people who are really into diabolical, evil things. And I think when you're dancing with the devil and you really are on a buddy-buddy system with evil, I think evil things can happen. So perhaps these people that have had these terrible things happen, it's evil manifested, and it might not be these aliens per se. So just even as I'm talking about it, I get myself scared. But probably now today that I've done all this, I'll probably start research. I think I'm going to research Roswell again. I'm such a dreamer. It's a miracle I made it through school. I specifically remember grammar school, junior high, and high school. School was very difficult for me. I would daydream like nobody's business. Daydream about all these things that I was going to do, all these things that are going to happen. Like big dreams. Not to like conquer the world or not to like. I just was like a big dreamer and like a big thinker. In my mind, I thought I was a big thinker in respects that I would think of one thing, I would connect the dots, and I would go backwards. I would say, okay, then that, then that, then that, then that, and I would connect the dots forwards and backwards. It was terrible. It was really difficult for me to stay caught up in school. But anyways, so at the end, I'll post this link. It says, so final note, Michael Medved writes, from time to time, people do contact me on Conspiracy Day and want to talk about my interests of Sasquatch, Bigfoot, the often cited bipedal primate reputed to stalk the forests of the Pacific Northwest. My fascination with this creature and my frequent expressed opinion that the weight of the scientific evidence does suggest that it actually exists in no way connects a conspiracy theory. In fact, if Bigfoot did not exist, that would indicate the existence of a conspiracy. An enterprising prankster who, over the course of more than 100 years, has gone to the trouble of planting footprints, hair samples, audio recordings, and various videos and photographic images in all these exceedingly remote locations. Sure, there have been some goofballs who've attempted to con the public, but they usually get exposed. The best book out of about half a dozen is one on the evidence of Bigfoot. It's by a Professor Jeff Meldrum, a tenured academic at Idaho State University. Impeccable credentials. His book, Sasquatch, Legend Meets Science, should at least open some minds to the possibility that we will eventually find definitive proof that all the tens of thousands who have encountered that mysterious species aren't imagining things. In any event, such a discovery would, in F. Scott Fitzgerald's phrase, bring us face to face with something commensurate to our capacity for wonder. Interesting. You know what else? He's talking about Bigfoot. What about Sasquatch? That huge monster in the lake. What about that? I'm gonna be all over the internet today. Oh, this was fun. I'm going to try to make more 30-minute videos. I have a tendency to shy away from the extended videos only because they take so long to upload. We don't have like a speedy internet, and even with everything unplugged in the house, with all the other Wi-Fi shut off, no devices running, no TVs hooked up to streaming audio, it takes forever. And the only way I can upload a 60-minute, a lot of you would like to have my 60-minute videos, it takes hours. The only way I can really do a 60-minute video upload is to, at the end of the day, when we're done using the internet, start uploading. If I start uploading like 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening, by the time I wake up the next morning, it will be uploaded. But there's no way I could upload it with any other internet on, so that's why I do it at night. It takes a lot of hours for a 60-minute video to upload. Now this is only 30 minutes, but this will take about 3 to 4 hours to upload. That's terrible. Now, is that a conspiracy? Is the internet company? How does that happen? How can a 15-minute video upload in 10 or 12 minutes, and then a 30-minute video take hours? Is that a conspiracy theory that they're trying to get me to get more money for a faster internet? It doesn't make sense. Anyways. I really got thinking about this. One of my viewers mentioned it, and it got me really inspired to want to do a video. Michael Medved, he's a daytime talk show host on AM. Conservative. I love his conspiracy theory days. Full moon, no doubt. I just learned that. Well, thank you guys. Thank you guys so much for your support and your comments. I really like to get back to the comments each day. It really bothers me when I can't. And we have family visiting and stuff going on during the summer. It's kind of hard to do that, but thank you guys so much for your support and watching my videos. And to those of you sharing my videos with others, and those of you who have subscribed, and those of you who push the like button,